Iesha with Sparks Magazine, and we are here with Wong from Wong Fu Productions.
What's up?
So first of all, how are you today? How's your day been going?
I'm good. Just flew in from LA to Orlando, and then realized that it was an hour and a half drive here to Gainesville, but it's good.
It's good, it's good. Yeah, we're always so far.
Yeah.
All right, so yes, I wanted to start off just talking about when you started with Wong Fu, and I guess what the process was like for you. I'm sure what your goals look like in the beginning, like how those evolved since now.
Well, I think the funny thing is that when we first started, there wasn't really even a set goal yet, because technically, and this is gonna date us, but YouTube wasn't around yet, so there was no expectation of what it meant to start a channel or become a YouTuber or think about your personal branding. I just found out that there's a class called personal branding. So none of that was established back then, and it really was with as the YouTube community grew and as social media basically just changed our culture and society, we adapted with that. So I think in the very beginning, when we were in college making videos for fun, and we had a website called Wong Fu Productions where people had to download a video. Yeah, we were just sharing things with our friends, and we were just wanting to make cool stuff and get better at it. And as that evolved, to turn into obviously wanting to represent ourselves and Asian American faces and voices, it turned into also trying to push creative people and help support other creative people in the community. So a lot of things have changed, but ultimately the main thing is just that we want to make good stuff and represent our community and ourselves well.
Right. And so what was your I guess I'm very curious about what your headspace was like with how your content started to change. Was it did you intend to make content that was very critically engaging? Was it how did it change?
Well, I think from the beginning, we were always more story based. We liked making sketches and we liked writing scripts, and I think that hasn't changed. I know YouTube these days is a little different. There's a lot of drama, or there's pranks, or there's just a bunch of a lot more noise and randomness. But we are a very rare channel that still likes to write scripts and tell stories. So we've always felt that was the most important for us. But I think a lot of people say that oh yeah, Wong Fu Productions, you guys are so important role models for Asian Americans and stuff. And I think when we first started, we didn't really realize that was a role that we played, or we didn't understand the importance yet, because I think we were just being ourselves. And I think that's why our content, I think, was resonating so much in the beginning, because we weren't trying to explain ourselves, we were just being us. And I think other Asian American kids or viewers appreciated that we were just being honest and we weren't trying too hard, but obviously now, as we've grown and we've met so many people and so many other Asian Americans around the country and around the world, we know that there is this very important aspect of being deliberate with our message and with our goals and mission. And so that's something that has kind of changed in these last handful of years. But we're really glad that we can play our part in the bigger movement.
Oh, that's awesome. Yeah, and also for I guess even just topics, at least from since I've watched Wong Fu for a while, just how at least from my perspective, it's been a channel that's been a lot of the love videos, that was I remember the most,
right.
Starkly. But I mean, just seeing how the topics have changed over time. Do you think that's a sign of the times type of thing, or what?
That's a really good question. I appreciate I appreciate you seeing that and acknowledging that. I think the funny thing is the love stuff. We actually have 2 times as many videos, double videos that are just comedy, than we have the love stuff. But a lot of our love stories are like the more watched ones. And so I feel like that's more of a testament of the audience than it is of us. Like that just shows you what people like to feel. But you know, I'll never say that, you know, we are abandoning that or that we don't want to do that anymore because we're trying to, like Yappie obviously is like one of our most recent like kind of bigger productions, and that is just much more socially aware, or we're talking about issues, and I'm not to say that one is better than the other. I think definitely because of this political era that we're in, and because so many people are talking about diversity in media, you know, we did Yappie because we realized that when people talk about diversity, like on the mainstream level, a lot of the times it's just a black and white issue, which has its reasons, and I don't think that's wrong, but I just don't want Asians to be left out of the conversation, right? And so that was a huge intent for our show, and yeah, the whole year was in general a really great year, specifically for the Asian American community in entertainment. So I'm glad that we got to be part of that. But no, there would definitely still be love stories and friendship stories and, you know, parent stories and family stories and comedies and stuff coming from Wong Fu. We try to stay balanced.
That's good, yeah. And that's great that you mentioned Yappie, because I wanted to start asking about that as well. I guess like how did you conceptualize Yappie, like that idea? It's something that I think not as many people know about, that you think, at least I didn't know about it until like I started watching series.
I think the thing with Yappie, at least the term, is that maybe the term isn't what people really knew about, but we all know what a Yappie is.
Right.
Like
it was easily recognizable.
Yeah, it's what our parents have all kind of encouraged us to be and do, which makes a lot of sense given like a lot of their backgrounds and their understanding of you know, I don't know, whether if you're from an immigrant family or culturally speaking, like what our backgrounds are. But I actually think that Yappie is not that like crazy or unique of an idea, and I think that was the point. I actually wanted to make a show that I felt was really just a reflection of like me and my friends. You know, and when we go out and when we, you know, are meeting people or we're drinking or whatever, like there's topics that come up, and sometimes we obviously have opinions on issues and politics and things like that, and I realized like there was no show that was kind of showing this type of discussion, you know, whether comedic or dramatic, and I really wanted it to be accessible to the people that need to watch the most, which is the Yappies, right? And I feel like I know that a lot of our fans and people that watch us are quote unquote Yappies or on the Yappie route, which is not a bad thing, but the whole point of the show was so to reach them and say, okay, if you're going to be this, be aware of the bigger conversation, be aware of, you know, your place, you know, in the community. So it really was something that I recognize that most of our audience is this type, and we harness so much power. I want them to know and to start thinking about these things. So that's kind of like the catalyst for why we did the show and why it's so important, I think, to us and why we want to, you know, why we're still promoting it so much.
Right. And like definitely like, yeah, I mean, I guess that kind of answers like my next question, which was just like, what do you think of like you said, like the awareness and like maybe for like college students, because this is like the fork in the road where you have to start, you know, thinking about what you want. It's like, like I don't know, like, what do you have any thoughts on having that awareness, like especially like maybe in this time? Well,
the thing is like, I and this was one thing that was difficult about the show, is that it's really, when you start painting with broad strokes, that gets really dangerous.
Right.
I think I never want someone to watch the show and feel like this is what everyone should do and this is how we see all of Asia, America. Like, no, this is a specific story about this one guy and his struggle, right? I'm fully aware that, you know, people go into professions or pursue things for a variety of different reasons. So it's definitely not like something where it's like, you better do this or you're a bad Asian or you're like not doing your part. But I think no matter where you go in life, whether you go full on activist, you know, or you are just, you know, want to just keep your head down, cogging the wheel at some whatever company, I think it's still very important to realize that, you know, that we're all in part of a bigger movement and machine, and like every person actually can play a part, you know, and like, as cheesy as it sounds, but it's like every vote counts, right? And it's like when it comes to like Asian representation, it's important for our community to care, because you know, mainstream listens to noise, right? And I think there's something about, you know, Asian Americans or the Asian, we're brought up to be like very passive or just keep our heads down, don't cause a ruckus. But that's the main reason why we get overlooked for a lot of things, right? But we're obviously a very powerful, very large group, and I think, you know, we can make a bigger impact if we mobilize our beliefs and mobilize our efforts, you know, to certain goals, right? So, yeah, like I'm definitely not telling everyone to go quit their job, you know, and go be a starving artist. If you want to do that, that's cool too. But if you don't, make a lot of money and go spend it on those starving artists. You know what I mean? It's a symbiotic relationship, right?
Yeah. Right. And that's interesting though, because like I also want to know like what was like the easiest and I guess the hardest parts of like making Yappie. Like it could be like creatively or production wise.
I think the hardest part was just the fact that we did it completely on our own. Like I think when you watch it, you think, oh, this looks like Netflix TV quality, whatever. But we did this like on like a dime, a penny, compared to what the budgets they have, you know, in Hollywood. And you know, we did it very efficiently. We had to like, you know, call in favors, and we just, it's the Wong Fu way. This is what we're used to. We're used to being the underdogs and kind of just getting things, you know, just getting things done. But ultimately it was a great product. We're all really proud of it. So that was like the hardest thing, I think, not always having the best, like the best resources. I think the easiest thing, I think just getting to work with friends is the best part. I think even though it's a stressful day, when we all know that we're there for one common goal, that's always a great feeling. I think, I'm sure you can, you know, relate to that too. When there's one group project and everyone is on the same level, it's a great feeling.
No, definitely, yeah. Like company definitely helps adversity during those times.
Yeah.
And I guess also like in the social, I guess the social realm of it, like I know like there's like different issues that are brought up in Yappie, like the conversations that the characters are having, and then I think about like, oh, how do you translate those conversations like to the real world, like in your social circles? Like, do you have any like takeaways or anything that you think would service that? Yeah,
definitely. Like in the show, there are. It's obviously like heightened and dramatized. Right. Like I don't. Andrew went through like just like a bunch of stuff like in a row that I don't think most people will come across.
Like,
you know,
in 1 week.
In 1 week, yeah. So I guess what I would encourage people to do is, I think the most important thing is just awareness and just knowing what's going on in the world and how it affects different types of people. I think, you know, oftentimes whether you're Asian or not, you know, you kind of just are just worried about your own bubble and you just care about what affects you. And I think especially in this day and age where everyone can tweet, everyone can shout something, I think sometimes instead of shouting out, it's good to like observe and listen, and that will give you a better understanding of like, you know, what people are going through. Hopefully it helps create empathy in you. So yeah, even if you're not having a face-to-face confrontation with someone being racist to you every other day, I think it's good to you know, be aware when it happens and be able to recognize it, and then also slowly start to figure out like how you would respond the next time, you know, you're faced with something that maybe you should have said something, or maybe something that you're put up against, right? So yeah, it's a process. I definitely don't think I can give you like, here's do this, you know, like it's more like, hey, in your own comfortable way, start to engage yourself with the world. I know that sounds really general, but a lot of people don't even do that.
Right. Yeah. It's like it takes like an effort.
It does take effort.
Yeah, and there's like has to be a willingness to kind of be uncomfortable. Which
is
hard.
Yeah. It's so much easier to just not care. Yeah. I fight that often too. So
yeah, it's like a personal struggle, and that's what's good about Yappie, because it like talks about that. There's no one that's like one perfect person who's always on top of it.
And I feel like Asians don't really push other Asians to do it either, because I think we're all like in the same boat of like, hey, no, we're all just trying to get a good job, so just do that.
Like complacency.
Yeah, go get a good internship, cool, you got an internship, cool, but are you like asking about, hey, what do you think about this new, law. Hey, how does that thing in that news story? What do you think of that? Like people are like kind of talking about that.
Right. I think it's better like with how the political climate has changed. I think that's become more and more open to talk about than at least 5 or 6 years ago.
Right.
Yeah. So that makes sense. And also like I guess like simply like what are like the little pleasures I guess of like doing this type of work? Like the little things that like when you think about.
I think after we've been doing this for 15 years, I think what keeps me coming through the door is just the fact that the job is really great in the sense that we have a lot of freedom. Like we really do get to just decide, hey, this month we want to accomplish this, or we want to make this. And I feel like not a lot of jobs provide that, literally like 1 week is no week is ever the same. And I think that keeps things exciting. I think it's also great that we've grown very slowly. Like I used to complain like, oh, I wish like why can't we be bigger or faster or whatever. But I like that actually we've grown at a pace that has been good for us because it's allowed us to become friends as they're not even watching, they're just on their phones. And you get to work with good people, and that's the main pleasure. Like if it weren't for the people that we're working with consistently and the ability to reach people with our work, then I probably wouldn't enjoy it as much.
Right. No, that makes sense. Yeah. And also like I guess for anyone who wants to like get into creating their own content, like what is some advice that you would give for someone starting off?
We get the advice question a lot. I think I always come back to first, do it for the right reasons. If you really are passionate about it, you're not gonna worry. You would do it if you were getting paid or not, to some capacity, right? Like it would become a hobby on the weekends or after hours, right? So it's like, if you first make sure that you actually want to do this creative route, because it is not easy. If it was easy, everyone would do it, right? That's the cliche saying. So just acknowledge that it's going to be difficult, so you better be sure that you're willing to put in the time and effort. The second thing is, like there's always an excuse not to do it. There's always, oh, I was supposed to shoot today, or I was supposed to write today, or I was supposed to get this thing done, but this, or writer's block, or whatever, right? Sometimes it's good to just put something out, even if it's imperfect, learn from it, and just worry about the next one. I think too many people like stop themselves before they even start because they're like, oh, it's not right. This isn't exactly what I want it to be. But truth is, your perfect thing right now, hopefully is not the best thing you ever make anyways. So you might as well just not make something good anyways and just move on to the next thing that's gonna be better, no matter what, right? So I always just tell people, just do something, just don't wait. Yeah.
Right.
I mean, our phones, these cameras are cheaper than what it used to take to make movies and stuff. Now you can film a whole. We're about to shoot something on a phone, like a whole short film on a phone next week. So it's like, yeah, there's no excuses now.
And like also, especially like because you started in like on YouTube, and then there's like the other medias like like the traditional Hollywood and all that stuff. Yeah. I mean, is there like anything that you like? What topics or issues out of like Asian American like representation like in other forms of media? Like what are you looking forward to? What do you hope to see? I think I'm
looking forward to more stories that are not about finding our identity. Like I think like this current phase we're in, there's a lot of creators that are in mainstream Hollywood that are finally becoming comfortable with their Asianness. So that's what a lot of these stories are, which is fine. Everyone's on their own journey. But like maybe this coming from like my experience, I feel very lucky that I've never had to struggle with being ashamed of being Asian or whatever. I've always been really proud, so I feel very lucky. And so I think that's why Wong Fu has been what it has been the past few years. We've been unapologetic. We haven't really felt this chip on our shoulder. So I'm hoping to see more stories of just Asian people being unapologetic about their families or their background, and they're just being people. And so we're past the first hump of who am I, and now we can just be, I'm a person that's sad, angry, confused, awkward, hot, whatever, and I'm living a story. That's what every other community gets to do right now. Like there's very few shows I think these days of like African American, you know, actor that's like, who am I? Like they're just getting to do cool stuff already, you know. So it's like I can't wait to get to that point.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, that makes sense. Yeah, like it's like little phases, and like now we're like ready for that
Right,
phase.
right.
Yeah, that makes sense. And also, yeah. So, and I guess generally, like, what do you guys plan to do like in the future? Like, you know, goals, anything?
Yeah, I mean, it's always tough to make these like several years down the line plans because with the way technology is, everything changes within like 3 years anyways, and you have to rethink everything.
Right.
So I generally like I do hope that I hope YouTube stays alive and is still a good company that, you know, functions well. And I do want the channel to continue to thrive and be a constant resource and place for young people, whether you're Asian or not, to find good content. I want it to be, because I feel like whether we go do the traditional side of movies or TV or whatever, that world moves very slow. And that's actually a big reason why I'm very adverse to it. Like I have the opportunity to dabble more in that, but it just moves so slow. And what we do on our channel is so much faster that these projects always take up my time. So I always end up doing this or spending more time on the YouTube stuff. But I do hope that the YouTube channel always stays around because that is the place where we're able to be the most nimble, and we're able to also, I hope in the near future for Wong Fu that we can actually start sharing our platform with other creators and other voices. I feel like the last 10 plus years it's been very much like, you know, whatever Wong Fu is known for, but like there's so much within Asia, America, or Western Asians, or Asians in general, like it's so nuanced, and Wong Fu only touches a very, very little bit of that, right? And we're very aware of that, and we're trying to make slow steps to open it up to more parts of the community. And I think part of that's going to be working with new directors, new writers, and other creators, so that, because I don't know the experience of being an Asian in Florida. And I'm curious, what is that like? Maybe someone makes a short and we can release that on our channel, you know? Stuff like that.
Right, no, that's really interesting. That made me think about that too, because I'm like, oh, like South Asian, there are all these other little communities and like how they get represented too. So yeah, I totally agree. I think that's like amazing to like expand it a little more.
Yeah, people put a lot on Wong Fu to represent all Asians, and it's just impossible because it's a massive community, right? And so we never claim to say like we speak for every Asian, but I will speak for my experience or our experiences, and if I don't reflect that, either, you know, you should go make it yourself, or maybe we can collaborate, and then we can, because I don't know what it's like, you know. So but I want to be, I'm open to it. Right,
that makes sense. Yeah, and that's also like a matter of audience too, like expanding like who watches Wong Fu and everything, right? Yeah, and I think we're just about done.
Cool.
Yeah, is there anything else that you'd like to say to your audience?
Just really grateful for everyone keeping up with us, and if you haven't yet, we're still going. I get a lot of people that stop me on the street, they're like, hey, oh my god, Phil, hey, you guys still making videos? I'm like, yeah, we just released something last week. You know? But I get it, so it's cool. So thanks for watching, and if not, we're at youtube.com/Wong Fu Productions. We'll see you there.
There you go. Yes, thank you so much for talking with us.
Thank
you so much for being here.
For sure. Bye.